Welcome to Stories I Didn't Tell Last Sunday. Hey, I'm Doug McAllister. Along with me today is Ezra Cayson III, and we are going to be talking to you today about some of our favorite things about growing up in the South. This is the podcast from Journey Fellowship Church, and we come to you every week, and we usually tell stories that we need to tell last Sunday. And today I wanted to tell a whole bunch more stories that I probably wouldn't ever have time to tell on Sunday, and that is some of our boyhood memories of growing up in the South. And man, I'll tell you, Ezra, there's been so many good memories about being a little boy in the South. And I want to just take some time today and talk about the food that we ate and the things we learned from our parents and, you know, some of the good stuff about our childhood. Now, you were born in Tupelo, Mississippi.
That's correct.
Is that right?
That is right.
Did you ever run into Elvis?
No. We passed his house quite a bit, though.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it still there?
It's still there. It's a memorial city attraction, basically.
No way.
Yeah,
I thought it was gone.
No, it's a city attraction.
Yeah.
They turned it into a museum. There's actually a small tour you can take.
Yeah.
It's a part of one of the parks in the area. So,
I got to go to Tupelo,
yeah.
man.
Oh, man.
I was amazed.
You got to go to Tupelo anyway.
You know, I know, right? Everybody should go to Tupelo at least once. But, you know, Elvis died in, 1970, what year? 77. So you were born what year?
I was born in 73.
So you were too young to even remember, or do you remember when Elvis died?
Well, I think I remember a little bit. My grandmother had told me this story, and this is my mom's mom.
Yeah.
She told me a story that she used to play with Elvis when she was little.
No way.
And he used to get everybody in trouble.
Are you serious? That was your grandmother?
That was my grandma.
Played with Elvis.
Played with Elvis. And
yeah.
she
well,
said he was pretty
I
rough.
didn't know Elvis, or no one I knew Elvis, but we were Elvis fans. In fact, I remember the day he died. It was like, what day was it? August of 77. I came home from school, or maybe wasn't even school yet, but I came home from playing with my friends. And when I got home, my mom met me at the door and said Elvis died.
Oh,
I mean, it was a big deal.
Yeah,
you know. Yeah, of course, it was a long time ago.
It was like the Michael Jackson, like what Michael Jackson would become.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like when Michael Jackson died, or when Kobe Bryant died.
Right.
The whole world stopped and talked about it.
Right.
You know, when Elvis died, you know, it was a day that everybody marked. So you were born in Elvis's hometown. So
yes.
At least two great men have come out of Tupelo.
Right.
Elvis and Ezra, and they all began with the letter E, apparently.
Come on, man.
Now, did you grow up in Tupelo?
No, I actually grew up in an adjacent town called Plantersville, Mississippi.
Yeah.
Plantersville literally is about probably 2 minutes from Tupelo. It's
really?
Right on.
It's just connected
on the
to
line,
it.
right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like being in Slidell and then going to what's the next town over?
Pearl River?
Oh no, closer than that.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So it's that close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
You can walk across a track and be in Tupelo.
I got you. So
Yeah.
it's basically Tupelo.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all the same town. Yeah. You know, I was thinking this morning as we were getting ready about some of the food that I enjoyed as a little boy. Now, our family didn't go to church.
Okay.
But on special events we would go for, you know, things that were, you know, that involve food. You know?
Revival.
Yeah, well, we would go for like dinner on the ground.
Right.
Do you remember going to dinner on the ground? And that's a funny name that they used to call it, dinner on the ground.
Yeah, we didn't have those. We had church picnics.
Yeah.
We always went to a church picnic.
Yeah.
Tom Bigby State Park.
Oh, really?
Yes.
So that's sort of like a church picnic would be a dinner on the grounds for us, you know, because it's the same term. But the little Baptist churches all around our house would always have, you know, an outreach, and they would make dinner and invite all the community to come. They'd call it dinner on the ground. Everybody would bring, you know, covered dishes and share and eat. So those were always like a buffet, you know, for the community.
And you get to share.
Yeah. Any food that comes to mind that you loved?
In that particular setting,
Or anything with your family?
With my family,
Yeah.
pretty much anything my mama cooked.
What'd your mama cook?
My mom, my mama would cook every Sunday, and we would have anything from pot roast to fried chicken, maybe pot roast and fried chicken, green beans, pinto beans.
Yes.
She always made a dessert. It was a chocolate cake, German chocolate cake. Tea cakes.
Did you ever make cobbler, like peach
Oh,
cobbler?
most definitely. But that was my mother's favorite.
Oh, is
thing
that
to
right?
make. Yeah, that was my dad's mom.
Right.
Yeah, she had the peach cobbler. That was her thing.
She brought the peach cobbler.
Yes, and peanut butter.
Yeah. My mom made some killer peach cobbler. Man, it was just, it was all made from scratch, man. I'm talking, it was like nothing was in a can or nothing was out of the freezer. It was just mom in the kitchen all day. And we had Sunday dinners where I was the fifth of five, and all my older brothers and sisters were married, and they would all come home for Sunday dinner. And my mom put on a spread, man. It was usually, like you said, fried chicken or pot roast or, you know, sometimes it was spaghetti and meatballs. But, man, what great memories. Yeah. And the great food that we grew up with.
My mama had this saying, she always cooked enough because you never knew who was going to show up.
I know.
And that was something that it's even still to this day, it sticks with me.
Yeah.
And we don't have dinners and stuff like that anymore, but it still sticks with me that like it took me a long time to like get quantities down.
I know.
You know, because that was like something that.
Because when you grew up in a big family, you know, sometimes there's 15 or 20 or 25 people eating together. So you just cooked a lot of food, man. Yeah. You just made a ton of food and fed whoever showed. Sometimes the neighbor, my mom would make plates for our neighbors, and she would tell me, bring this down to to Miss Aura down at her house, or somebody who couldn't get out, you know. So we were feeding half the block, you know, and half the country road we lived on, just bringing food down and dropping it off, you know. And I think quantity was something that, you know, like you said, was, you know, not even thought of. Make more. Always make more than you need. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Kind of like that the principle of being a cheerful giver.
Yeah.
You know, I think a lot of times people did it with food. I know my mom did.
Yeah.
She even fed my bullies.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, really?
She fed your enemies?
Yeah. Like,
how many kids were in your family?
Well, as far as like in my mom's household, 2. Yeah. You know, I'm blended family.
Right. So how many total?
At any given time, it could probably be like me, my oldest sister, and my stepbrother and stepsister.
Okay, so 4 kids.
So 4 in that house.
Right.
Yeah. So in my mama's house, it'd be 4, but then you got to count my cousins.
Right. And your aunts and uncles.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because my mom's house was the house that everybody came to hang out.
Yeah.
You know, nobody wanted to stay at their house.
So she was always cooking.
Yeah, she was always.
Did your mom ever make big biscuits?
Oh, man, come on.
My mom I think they called them cat head biscuits or something like that.
Yeah, cat heads and whole cakes.
Because they were as big they were as big as a cat's head. And man, they were fluffy and delicious. And she made homemade gravy out of the drippings from the bacon. Yep. Which, you know, is probably the most unhealthy meal in the world. But man, it tasted so good.
Yeah. Yeah, my mom, I still make homemade gravy now just because of my mama.
We do too, man. Because
I see people, you know, I used to work in a grocery store.
Yeah.
So I would see people go in and they would spend like $3, $4, maybe $2 or something for a jar of gravy. Yeah. Where I'm like,
y'all feel sorry for them.
Yeah.
Oh, you eating that for gravy?
Right.
It's not gravy.
Poor baby.
Oh, that's all y'all got. Yeah, my mom would make gravy, man. A bowl of gravy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
when
biscuits.
she made that whole cake was like the dough that was left over.
Yeah.
So she would take it and spread it out, and it would be like the size of like a small paper plate. You know, the little cheap paper plates with the ripples. Yeah. Right. So you just take it and break it. Yeah.
Like brick apart bread.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
That's good stuff.
Man, that's some really, really good memories. I think, you know, when I remember about my mom cooking, especially when all my brothers and sisters were coming over, she'd always make banana pudding from scratch. So, you know, she would she'd make the banana pudding. There's a story. My older brother, when he was a little boy, it happened to him. So he was a little, before I was born, he was a little boy, and he was outside playing, and Mama was cooking dinner, and some of the cousins were over, and aunts and uncles. And at that time, the adults always ate first, and then they fed the kids. It's a whole different culture, man. The adults would eat, and then the kids would be called in, and they would eat, and then, you know, so the adults went first, basically, and then the kids came in and joined. So my brother's out in the yard, and the adults were starting to eat, and he yelled in to the house, "Hey, Mama, save me some of that banana pudding." And that was a story they told on him every Christmas until my mom died, Hey, y'all say pass on that banana pudding,
Right.
because he didn't want to get left out. Of course, they never got left out. All the kids got to eat. But in his world, like the adults are in there, they may eat all the banana pudding before I get there. But I mean, that was, the homemade desserts and the strawberries out of the field, it was just,
man.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
see, we didn't have like our own garden or anything like that. But we did have the guy that owned the land where we stayed, Mr. Foster. He was our landlord. And so, and I lived in a trailer park. So I'm going all the way southern on you.
Go through it.
So Mr. Foster had, we called him Mr. Tot Foster.
Yeah.
I don't know why we called him Mr. Tot.
Tot?
But yes, Tot.
Okay.
But his name was Leotrich.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that may be the reason why.
Yeah.
But
he needs a
Mr.
nickname.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
Mr. Foster worked for Purnell Pride. So, like, and anybody that knows Purnell Pride knows that that's a old chicken processing company like Cayson. So, long story short, he had his own garden, and this guy had everything from corn to greens to cabbage, you name it, it was probably in his garden. And the garden wasn't huge.
Yeah.
So sometimes he just go through the neighborhood and just give people greens and stuff. He shared what he had.
Yeah.
And so, of course, whatever we didn't buy, and if he gave it to us, my mom would like cook up some of the best stuff just out of that. And it's just like I don't know, the environment and the culture of sharing, and sharing with people even when you didn't like them. I saw people do that.
Yeah.
And it was really cool.
Right.
And you brought up banana pudding from scratch. I almost never eat banana pudding if it's not from scratch.
Yeah, it's almost like this is fake.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're looking at vanilla pudding and it's like, oh, no offense to anybody that makes it with vanilla pudding.
Yeah, that's the main ingredient. Now that's how you make it. Yeah.
And Cool Whip.
Yeah, and Cool Whip. Yeah, and vanilla wafers. Yeah, you mentioned Purnell Pride.
Yeah.
You ever heard of Cal-Maine Foods?
No.
It was a competitor. My first job when I was 15 was working for Cal-Maine Foods, and Cal-Maine is short for California to Maine. It was a string of chicken houses.
Oh, wow.
So there were several thousand farmers who farmed chickens. It's like a co-op, and Cal-Maine would buy all of their eggs and then would buy all their chickens once the chickens were of age to be slaughtered and sold in the market. So my first job was catching chickens.
He meant processed, not slaughtered.
Slaughtered, man. There's no easy way around that, bro. Yeah, we gotta soften the blow. You mean those chickens are killed?
Oh no.
Yeah. I read the other day on some chicken in one of the markets I was buying, and it said free range chicken. I'm thinking, he was outside by himself.
It just means it took longer to catch him.
Yeah, it's like, So back in those days, you had to catch your chickens and process them. You know. So anyway, my first job was catching chickens. So we get there at 2:00 in the morning, and we'd spend 4 hours catching chickens and putting them on the truck to get them to the processing plant. Yeah, it makes you appreciate fried chicken, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really does. It seems like a world ago, man, because everything's changed.
Yeah.
When you walk into a supermarket, there's a meat section with just every kind of meat available. It's processed, it's packed, it's priced, it's beautiful. We've taken all of the horror of preparing meals and just gotten rid of it. But when you live in the country and living in the country, man, you were part of it. We bought our milk from a dairy farmer, and we bought it in 5-gallon pails.
Oh wow!
It was still warm. It was still fresh out of the cow, man. It was cow's milk. You could make butter out of it. It was still, everything was still in it, and that was only in the 1960s. Here we are, 55 years later, and that world doesn't exist anymore.
No,
it's gone.
It's I think it's like one of those things that people do now. It's just like, I want to get closer to the earth. I want to make my own butter. It's a choice,
not as good as it sounds.
A necessity.
It's not as fun as it sounds. It's a lot of work, man.
Yeah.
We grew our own food. My dad had a 10-acre farm. We grew our own food, and most of the stuff that we ate, we processed it or bought it from the local farmer, or we'd buy a cow, or we'd split one with a neighbor because we couldn't afford a whole cow, and it was, it was a different world growing up back then.
It was.
Yeah, and food was the center of everything you did, man. We came together, it was to eat, and to enjoy being together back when Sunday was really a day off.
Right.
Do you remember those days when everything was closed on Sunday?
I remember when
not just Chick-fil-A, but everything.
Right. When I was a kid, I remember like basically in Plantersville, almost every single last thing was closed.
Yeah, everything.
I remember you couldn't get any alcohol on Sunday.
Nothing.
If it was open,
right,
you couldn't get any of that stuff.
No, you couldn't buy anything that was considered adult, like alcohol or cigarettes or anything.
Right.
Now, Sunday, you got to take a break.
Yep.
Sorry if you got to have it.
Yeah.
Wait till Monday.
Right.
Yeah.
Or either later in the evening when, it's kind of like observing Sabbath, and then when evening came, Sabbath was over. Now you can go
now you can go get what you need. I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was crazy when that kind of stuff, the first time I went home, because I was an adult, I had moved, and I came home and they say, hey, the store is open. Yeah. It's like, that was like big news. It's like, store's open on Sunday.
What's going on? What happened?
Right. It's like, hey, things are changing.
Yeah. 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 It was a traumatic shift, man, where, everything was open all the time. So you go from living in the country, by yourself out in the country, and your mom yelling out the front door. You ever heard your mom yell your name out the front door?
Yes, I did, and usually I was afraid.
Yeah, you was in trouble. You was in trouble.
Brings me to another saying. She was like, if I call your name and you don't hear me, you too far away.
That's right.
I was like,
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And, as long as you didn't go too far, moms were fine with it. You can just wander around, because we would, we'd go outside early in the morning and come back at dark.
Yeah.
We'd be gone 9 or 10 hours. Yeah. Can you imagine your children being gone from 10 hours from
No, man.
I know, right?
No, I cannot.
My mom would say, go out. In fact, mom would tell us, go outside.
Yeah.
Go outside and play. Don't go too far, and don't come back in.
If one of my kids were to go outside, I'd be like, is Jesus coming?
I know. Today? For 9 hours? For 9 hours?
30 minutes.
I know, man. My mom, I remember if I went in too often,
right,
she would get on me and say, would you stop coming in every 30 minutes?
Right.
Stop
letting out my good air.
And then I'm not trying to air condition in the whole, because we had one room air conditioned, because we had a window unit in the front room. Right. So you walk in the front room, Mom, you're letting out cold air out. And then my mom had a saying that I heard a lot of Southern moms would say, and this is a quote, I'll tell you what you're not going to do. That's what my mom would say. I'll tell you what you're not going to do. You're not going to come in and out of this house all day long. You're either going to stay in or stay out. I would stay out. I play with my cousins and climb trees and, sneak down to the river and all kind of stuff.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I remember being a kid, we literally my mom would tell us we can go outside and play. And I would go with some of my cousins, and we literally would go from the yard to whoever's that pasture was, through the woods and everything. And now I'm like, man, I'm not going through there. But we would do that all day.
I know it.
Like you said, it wouldn't necessarily be like 8 hours, because it just all depended on where we were, what we were doing for the day. But I know for about 4 or 5 hours. Yeah. And it didn't matter what the temperature was.
Don't matter.
Yeah, this humidity here.
Climbing trees, or, wading in the creek. Hanging out at your neighbor's house. We had a neighbor down the street that had they had air conditioning in their whole house, and which is a treat, man. It's when you're really rich, when you can air condition. So sometimes we go to their house, knock on the door, and they let us in, and we stay in their house for a couple hours just to cool off.
We're going over to the cooling station.
Yeah, we're going over to the cool house. We gotta go see what's going on over there.
Cooling station.
Yeah. And when I got in trouble, my mom would tell me, now, I'm gonna tell you Daddy when he gets home. And that was always bad news, man. Or if she's really mad, she would say, go get me a switch out of the tree.
Oh, man.
I know that would probably land you in jail these days.
Yes.
If you would get arrested,
would.
if you spanked your kids, but my mom, she didn't play, bro. You either towed the line or you got a spanking,
Man, I had an uncle. I loved him, but I hated when he moved with us, because his real name's Tommy.
Yeah.
But his nickname is Buck.
Yeah.
So not like Uncle Buck in the movie.
Yeah.
But like Uncle Buck in the movie.
We can talk about that in a minute, about how many family members you have nicknames for. I got a couple I got to tell you about. But tell me about Uncle Buck.
Okay, so, oh man. I had so many cousins and uncles named Robert Lee.
Yeah.
And so, of course, we had like 50 million variations of Robert Lee or Rob or, but either way, Uncle Buck, like my mom, she was like, go outside and get you a switch. I go outside and get me a switch. I try to find me something kind of dry because I knew it was going to break.
It'll snap.
Right.
Yeah, right.
So that the whooping wouldn't last long. She was like, you know what? This switch isn't good enough.
Yeah.
Buck, go outside and get me a switch.
Uncle Buck had to go get one.
Man, it looked like Uncle Buck went and found Noah or Moses or somebody and say, hey, where's the best reeds at?
That lasts forever?
Right.
Yeah.
And he would come back with stuff like, dude, you getting ready to go fishing?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my gosh.
Got a cane pole.
I really don't.
Yeah. I had a cousin that wanted the cousin nicknamed him Booger.
Oh
which
my
is a
gosh.
horrible name to call your cousin.
I had a cousin named Booger.
You got a Booger?
Yeah, I did.
They called him Booger because he never combed his hair. And literally, he come to family visits. He got out of bed and walked straight to our house. Like, dude, you didn't comb your hair. So anyway, they started calling him Booger because he would never comb his hair. And cousin Booger, he was a handsome guy. He wasn't ugly or just scary.
Right.
Why did he get called Booger?
Yeah, mine too.
And it stopped. I mean, literally, he's an adult. Yeah, what's Booger?
And I don't think his had anything to do with actual boogers either.
No, it wasn't about your nose. It was about you like a booger man, a scary man.
Right.
He was
I think it was attitude thing or character situation.
Our cousin Booger. You know what? To this day, I don't know his real name.
Oh my God.
I know his last name, but I don't know his first name. Everybody calls him Booger to this day.
Yeah, we still call my cousin's name was Willie.
Yeah.
Okay, Lord rest his soul.
Yeah.
He he actually grew up like my little brother. It was like we literally were brothers. He stayed at our house that much.
Oh wow.
Yes, he stayed at our house that much. My auntie lived with us for a little while, and then when she moved out, they still came to the house. And I don't know how he got the name Booger, but that was his name, and we called him that until he passed.
I wonder if every family has a Booger.
I know, right?
Maybe we all do.
That's great. I didn't think anybody else had a cousin named Booger. I thought Booger was just in a movie.
There was an NFL player called Booger McFarland.
That's right, yeah.
I used to laugh at that. There's another Booger
McFarland, yeah.
So maybe everybody's got one.
And it was normal for people to call him that.
I know. Hey, Boog.
Like, right. Like boogie.
Oh, man. Yeah. We had a cousin that he was redheaded and freckle-faced, and we all called him Freck because he had freckles, It was like a term of endearment, man, We would take your defining quality and make it your name, It was just a cousin thing. Another cousin, he had a mole on his right ear, so we called him Mo, short for mole.
I think that's kind of mean.
We called him Mo. But he loved being called because it was his nickname to all the cousins. Called, hey, Mo. Because he had a mole on his ear,
Oh, my gosh.
I know, right? It's country people, man. It's just a different way of living, bro. Yeah.
We had family friends named after drinks.
Yeah.
Like, we had this one guy, and unfortunately, most of them were beer. We had a guy named Pap.
Yeah.
After Pabst Blue Ribbon.
Yeah.
Right? And that was his nickname.
Yeah.
Have another guy, his name was Pepsi Cola.
No way.
And that was his nickname.
Y'all called him Pepsi?
Yes.
Did he drink a lot of Pepsi?
Yes, he did.
What?
He did.
My dad drank Schlitz beer when I was a kid. You ever heard of Schlitz?
Yeah.
It's like the cheap beer of Milwaukee. My dad drank a lot of Schlitz beer, and there was a commercial about Schlitz beer, and the guy on the commercial, his name was Papa Joe. He was the spokesman for Schlitz beer.
Oh, wow.
And that's how my dad came to be called Pop.
Oh, wow.
Was after Schlitz beer.
Okay.
To this day, my dad's passed. He's been gone since 2006. But to this day, when we refer to him, we all refer to him as Pop.
Yeah.
But it goes back to his beer drinking days when he drank Schlitz beer. Nobody knows that back in the story. It's like it was a beer nickname, we called him Pop.
Yeah. I had an uncle named, his name was Robert.
Yeah.
But we called him Bibby.
Yeah.
And
short for Robert or
no, I don't know what it was. It might have been short for BB King Jr. because he was blind.
Yeah.
I won't go into the story of how he became blind.
Gosh, he was blind.
Yeah.
He was a blind musician?
Blind musician that made homebrew.
Oh my gosh. We need him back, bro. We're almost out of blind musicians, man.
Seriously,
They're all passing.
and he was good. And and where he lived, he lived in one of the housing areas in Tupelo, and we would go see him. And Friday nights, he would have his window up, and it'd have him a fresh batch made. And it's probably one of the coolest stories is that before you got to his house, he had his electric guitar and his amp turned up.
No, he was jamming.
And everybody totally did not mind.
Really?
So they expected to hear like a little small blues concert.
He was Johnny B. Good.
Yes.
Look out, bro.
Uncle Bibby. I love that man. And that's where I got my male pattern baldness from.
Is that right?
Yeah.
That side of the family?
Yeah.
Uncle Bibby.
Nobody had hair.
He played the guitar?
Yes.
Man.
Beautiful thing.
Man. My middle brother, well, he was a third of five. He was two brothers older than me. He played the guitar. He was a self-taught musician, man.
Cool.
And everybody at night, there was nothing to do. We didn't have television. He would get the guitar out and he would play. The first song he learned was Wildwood Flower.
Oh, wow.
You ever heard Wildwood Flower?
No.
Man, it is a great little riff on the guitar, and he would play it. Yeah. Yeah. I think looking back, it was a song about marijuana, but I didn't know it at the time. I just liked the tune. It was Wildwood Flower. He would play it, man. It's a great melody, man.
Makes sense.
It's back in the 60s, the 70s.
Makes a lot of sense.
I know, right? Now look back, that makes a lot of sense about our whole life.
Flower.
Yeah, Wildwood Flower.
Yeah.
The opening line was Wildwood Flower grew wild on the farm. We never knew what it was called. And now that I think about it, it was about marijuana. But I was a kid. I didn't know at the time. Yeah. But my brother would play it at night. He'd play the Wildwood Flower, man.
Right.
And he'd play Elvis tunes or whoever was, the Beatles were really big, at the time. So he would, he was trying to be a rock and roller, but,
I think our area was like, it was akin to Elvis Presley, Howlin' Wolf, John Lee Hooker, Lightning Hopkins, type of Muddy Waters.
Yeah, there's so many talented musicians. I mean, so many people, like in your family and my family that can just sing and play.
Yes.
It's just incredible how God just gives some people the gift, of music. I've always admired that. I've always been a little jealous of it because I have none. I can't sing. I can't play an instrument. I can't tap a tambourine. I can barely clap on time. I got to watch you guys on stage on Sunday morning to make sure I got the timing down,
but
man.
You breed excellence, though.
All of my kids can play music. I mean, every one of them. But I give Rachel the credit for all of that because she homeschooled them, most of them, and taught them all instruments.
Don't sell yourself short.
Come on, Ezra. What you thinking?
I'm gonna say this.
All right.
You had enough moxie about yourself.
Yeah.
To say, "Will you marry me?" And she was crazy enough to say yes.
Yeah, I did marry up, man.
So there you go.
Well, we got married real young, and we were stereotypical. I was the young preacher, and Rachel played the piano.
Okay.
We were a full set, man.
Yeah.
When we went to a church, we could pray, we could preach and lead worship. My girl can play. Yeah. First time I saw Rachel, she was playing the piano.
That's cool.
First time I went to church with her, she was leading worship. She was 12 or
wow.
13. Her and her dad were leading worship from the piano. First time I saw her.
That's good stuff.
Yeah, I've been in love with her ever since, man.
I was going to say, hopefully you weren't that creepy church guy.
Well, I was only a couple years older than her.
Good deal.
Yeah, but we did get married real young. But she has developed. Rachel can play the piano. She plays. Our kids play the guitar. They can play drums, the mandolin, keyboards. They just multi-talented. So when they're all together and they all bring their instruments, which doesn't happen nearly often enough. I always feel like, I don't belong because I don't play anything. So they're all sitting around singing and playing music, and I'm making coffee and slicing apple pie. It's like, one of these things does not belong here. That's usually me, because they're all so talented. And you, man, Sunday morning, man, that song you guys are doing now is just blowing me away, bro. It was just on fire.
I think the Holy Spirit just came through, and he answered our prayers about letting his anointing fall on the worship team and then just through the church, because it's like the times that I don't, like if I'm leading a song and I stop leading, is because I actually hear the Holy Spirit singing through the people that's out there, and everybody was just,
Sunday was so powerful like that.
Man.
I was on the front row, and I could just hear the voices behind me, all the people singing. It was just special, man.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen Ezra lead worship, you ought to go check out Journey's YouTube channel, or you can watch us online. But man, worship is just such a gift that Ezra has, and our whole band, man.
Yeah,
it's
man. Just top notch.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to plug another one.
What's
and
that?
If you can't watch online, come in person.
Well, yeah, even better, right?
I know, right?
Man, what a great experience, bro.
Yeah.
It's good to have so many people back at church, too, man. It's good to be together with hundreds of people who are just worshiping God in person. It's just nothing like being in the same room with hundreds of believers who are worshiping Jesus, man. It's just special.
You can kind of like disappear into each other while all of us are disappearing into the Holy Spirit.
You can, you know. That's what's so great about worship is it's individual, but it's also corporate.
Right.
It's a mixture of both, man. You know, it's you and Jesus, and then it's you and the church, and then it's you, Jesus, and the church.
Right.
It's magical, bro. I don't know, man. It's just something you can't describe, bro. You know, it's like, it's a high that just lingers on for hours and hours. Yeah. The saddest part about worship on Sunday morning for me is when it's over. Like, oh man, that was the last song. That was the last downbeat. We're done.
Man, I don't know. It's like one of those things where, like you said, when it's over, it's like, man, we could have kept going for another 10, 15, 20 minutes.
Let's just keep rolling, man.
Yeah.
Let's just keep rolling. That's what's so beautiful about music. And, music and food are like universal languages, man. And the church is very good at mixing those two together, man.
Yes.
The church has a gift, because, the church was started at the Last Supper when Jesus passed out the bread and the wine, so it's in our DNA. It's who we are. And then they went out to the Mount of Olives and they prayed and probably sang a hymn, That is the church, man. The worship music and the food that we share together is beautiful. Me and Cam went up to Picayune, Mississippi the other day to eat at a place called Stonewall's Barbecue.
I've heard of it.
Dude, I gotta take you up there. Ezra, it's an old abandoned service station that they remodeled.
Oh, cool.
And they put like an outdoor dining area. It's not even a real restaurant, They got they put all their money in the smokers and in the cookers in the back of the building. So it's just a rundown old building. But dude, it is the best barbecue that I've ever had in this area.
Man.
Now, were you guys big in barbecue in Tupelo?
Man, well, I want to say yes, but a lot of the stuff that we had at the time, like me growing up, it was like straight soul food.
Yeah.
And everybody that was cooking it, it was hardly anybody that couldn't cook.
Yeah.
And so when the whole barbecue, there's one place that's been open, and I'm trying to remember the name of it.
In Tupelo?
It's in Tupelo. It's in the same spot.
Still there.
In the same spot.
Wow.
That it's been since it opened.
Wow.
And matter of fact, it's around the corner from the Elvis Presley
maybe
spot.
When I go see Elvis, I can hit some barbecue and Tupelo.
Man, they're gonna kill me at home. If anybody's from home sees this, I'm like, man, Ezra, how can you forget
Why'd
the
you
name of the
forget
place?
that, man?
And the barbecue is great.
Yeah.
Yeah. And on behold, it's around the corner from Elvis and like probably about 4 or 5 churches.
Yeah. Wow.
Not chickens.
Yeah.
Not churches, chickens, but churches, actual churches.
Actual churches.
Right.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. We ate at a barbecue place in the middle of Mississippi one time. I don't know where we were. My friend and I were traveling. We were preaching, and it was called Letha's Barbecue.
Okay.
And it was right by a church. So we pulled in the Letha's. It wasn't in Tupelo, so I don't think it's the same place. But she did her own barbecue. You heard of her?
Petal.
Yeah.
Petal, Mississippi.
That's where it is now.
Outside of Hattiesburg.
I went before they moved into Hattiesburg. Now they got a nice restaurant of Letha's in Hattiesburg. Yeah. But I went when it's still at her house. She was still doing it at her house, man. She would smoke the meat at her house, do everything. So we walked in her kitchen. It had a big kitchen, and she had 6 or 8 tables set up, and they were all mismatched tables with chairs that didn't match each other.
Right.
And man, when she brought out the food, melt in your mouth
Yeah.
pulled pork ribs like you
Yeah.
have never had before. Well, now they going big time. They got a big restaurant in Hattiesburg.
Yeah, pulling the bone out of the meat.
Yeah, man. Southern barbecue, bro. It's an art, man.
It really is.
It's an art.
No offense, Kansas City.
Yeah,
or
Kansas
St.
City's
Louis.
fine. You know, they got their own deal. Memphis is okay, but man,
No offense.
yeah, you get down to Mississippi barbecue, bro.
Yeah.
It's just something special. Yep.
I think it's just the fact that everybody's been cooking like that.
Yeah,
It's the best places I've ever had barbecue, fried chicken, or fried fish.
yeah.
Is in Mississippi.
And you think about that. All these foods that are considered, specialties now
Yeah.
started out with poor people cooking what they had.
Right.
That's
Right.
just really all we had, man. You know,
Right.
we eat crawfish. Now crawfish is international.
Right.
But it was a bunch of poor people getting bugs out of the mud just to have some dinner at night, man.
Right.
Honestly, when I was a kid, we were happy to get crawfish boils because there was lots of them and we could feed the whole family. Now it's a cuisine,
Right.
Cajun food everywhere you go. And I always doubt if I'm traveling out of the country, Cajun food. I've never tasted real Cajun food outside of Cajun country in Louisiana, man.
Man.
Something about the spices and the and the freshness of the
Right.
seafood. It's not replaceable.
I remember the first time I had anything Cajun or Louisiana, and please don't swing at me when I say this. The first place I went to was Monroe, Louisiana. I hadn't made it to the North Shore yet.
Well, that's not Cajun. Yeah.
No, it's not Cajun, but we still gonna we're gonna honorable mention them.
Sure, there you go.
Because I hadn't been to the North Shore yet.
Yeah.
And so I went there, but I tasted like some shrimp etouffee.
Yeah.
And I had some shrimp etouffee
Yeah.
like somewhere else in the upper southeast,
Yeah.
Midwest. I'm like, oh, this is good. But I get down here and I taste the seasoning.
Yeah.
My mouth just went to a whole different place.
Different world, man.
And I wouldn't eat anything that said Cajun or Louisiana until I came back here. Yeah.
That's a real deal. We invented hot sauce,
Come on, Tabasco.
Yeah, Tabasco is international. I saw a Tabasco bottle. I think it was. I watched Chris Pratt's new movie the other day.
Tomorrow War.
Dude,
that movie is so good.
It's violent. It got some ugly language in it, but let me just tell you, it celebrates manhood. It celebrates fathers. It is a great story, man.
It really
is a great story. And somebody had a bottle of Tabasco there. It's like a little commercial they kind of throw into the scene,
Right.
But Tabasco came out of Louisiana, man.
Yes.
It came out of the swamps, down in Lafayette, whatever. What was Avery Island is where it's still made there. Yeah, you can.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
it
still
is.
made there. Yeah, and they let that pepper sauce season for years, man, before they turns into a product. Because we take our seasoning, serious.
Yeah.
But most of the great foods that we celebrate in Louisiana and Mississippi came out of the culture of poor people just cooking what they had.
Right.
And we turned it into something.
And now it's
amazing.
It's extravagant, luxurious cuisine.
I had catfish yesterday. Yeah, I had some catfish. Man, and I always check to see if it's local or if it's imported. I don't want imported cat. I don't want, I want some real catfish, man.
Yes.
Yeah, when we had our fish fry for Good Friday, we bought, I forgot how many hundreds of pounds of catfish we had, but they were caught locally right here, man, and processed a few days before we cooked it. It's real catfish, man. Yeah, or if you get shrimp, sometimes you got to look at the shrimp. If it's from China, it's like, it's not going to be as good. It's Chinese, I love the Chinese, but,
You say that, and when I used to live in St. Louis, I remember getting some catfish from my supervisor.
Yeah.
And I was like, where'd y'all get this catfish from? And they said from the Chinese place. I said, you didn't get this catfish from no Chinese place.
Yeah.
All my just proper language just went out the door.
What?
You didn't get this from no Chinese place. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go.
Yeah.
The fish tasted like it came out of Mississippi.
It was a Chinese restaurant?
It was a Chinese restaurant that made rice and noodles
Wow.
and dumplings and
And
all of
fried
this.
catfish.
And fried catfish.
Wow, that's not your normal Chinese cuisine.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
And so we went on a binge of it for about a good month.
Yeah.
And I found out that they actually were getting their catfish from places like New Albany and Aberdeen, Mississippi.
See, that makes sense.
Yes.
It's locally sourced.
Yes.
Right out of the lake or the river.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My dad caught a 40-pound catfish when I was a little boy. He would do trot lines across the river with hooks every 6 or 8 feet. And man, one day he went to check his lines and he pulled it up and the fish came up and it was probably 4.5 feet long. It was a massive fish, man. The biggest fish my dad ever caught in his whole life. It was so big that it made the newspaper. Yeah. Remember back when we had newspapers?
Yes.
Yes. Those don't exist anymore either. Yeah. Nope. Nobody reads newspapers anymore, but it made the newspaper. It took a picture of my dad and his giant catfish. But the bigger the fish, the more fat and the less flavor. It doesn't taste nearly as good, man.
Because it's a big scavenger.
You like catfish thin slice or thick?
Actually, I like fillets.
Yeah. But you like them thick or thin, though?
I could go either or.
Yeah, see, I like mine thin, man.
I can go either or.
Yeah, if it's too thick, it's chewy.
Yeah, the places that I've eaten it,
they
just do a great job.
Yeah. You ever eat catfish on the bone?
Yes.
Whole new experience, man.
Yes. Yeah. They got this one little fatty part, and then they have some of the jaggedness. You can use them as weapons.
See, those catfish bones could be like a comb for your hair later on.
Seriously.
They're fine little teeth. Yeah. Or perch. You ever eat a whole perch and just leave it on the bone?
Yeah, I stopped eating those.
Did you?
Yeah.
You discovered something that
yes,
I don't know?
Did. Yeah.
You may want to tell me what's going on.
Well, no, I stopped eating freshly caught fish.
Yeah.
I have this thing. We were studying parasites. In
it
school.
Does happen.
And I saw how the parasites get into stuff.
I know, right?
And so on and so forth.
As long as you cook it good, it's all right.
Yeah, it's good. But
you can eat it.
What they did was they forgot to take the parasite out of the fish before they brought it in the house, and I saw it in a bowl, and I saw it trying to escape. I was like, nah, I'm not eating this.
He packed a suitcase and tried to get out?
Yeah, he did. So it had to come out of a box at the store.
Hey, that reminds me, one time we were in Costa Rica on an outreach, and we went to this restaurant, and the missionary there ordered for all of us, and he ordered fish on the bone. Yeah. And it was totally, whole fish, eyeball still in its socket, still there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was like, I don't like eating my food when it's staring back at me, man. It's like, I don't want you looking at this.
Yeah, you have to have a certain level of hunger.
I know. Well, I think, I like to go ahead and I like to cut the head off, fillet it, get down to the real meat, Yeah. But which really again points back to our culture today. We've forgotten how much blood is spilled to make a meal, or how much work goes into cooking a meal, back when you had to grow your own corn and then go harvest it and then shuck it and then clean it and then ball it and then cook it and then make your own cornmeal out of it. Man.
And all of that.
So your farm can be self-sufficient.
Yes.
I saw a meme the other day. This young girl was in a supermarket with all the food stretched out before her, and they were talking about farms. She said, "Why do we need farms? We have all the food we need right here."
Yeah.
And I think people forget that all this food came from a farm. It came from somebody, growing weed or, raising cattle or raising pigs or, bacon don't make itself.
Right. Bacon don't make itself. Yeah. But it makes everything
Speaking
else
of bacon,
good.
man, don't you just love thick smoked bacon? Oh, man.
Crispy rind on the
What's the craziest thing you ever ate for breakfast growing up in the South?
Let's see. Craziest thing I ever ate for breakfast.
Yeah.
I guess I don't think it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's fried chicken.
Yeah. Sometimes we would make like jambalaya for breakfast.
Really?
Like our mom would do something, not leftovers. She would make that for breakfast. Here's it's just a meal.
It'd be,
It's long before where you had cereal and milk or grits and eggs, that kind of came, it was becoming popular. But back then, we just cook what you had in the house.
I think I remember one breakfast my mama, she cooked fried chicken. We didn't have flour. She used cornmeal.
Mm-hmm.
So for breakfast, we had fried chicken. We had those red smoked sausage or hot links, bacon, sausage patties.
Yeah.
So that was that.
Right.
We had biscuits. We had rice. We had eggs. And this was just breakfast before we went to school. This was before we went to school.
You bring it to school with you? I put it in a little box.
No, we ate at home. And one of the guys in our neighborhood, I won't say his name, Tomrick.
Yeah.
Because he won't see this.
Yeah. You can't say his name.
Right. He actually would come. I know it was a quarter mile.
Yeah.
From his house.
Yeah.
To our house.
Wow.
When he heard about the way my mom cooked breakfast.
Oh, man.
And he would come to our house. I think he did it for about a good week.
Yeah.
And his mama was like, boy, where you going? Going to Miss Barbara.
I'll get some breakfast. She's making chicken. I know, man. It's like back in that day, bro. Back in the 60s and 70s, you know, it wasn't the standard breakfast menu, you know.
No.
Like we just take for granted today, you know.
80s, 90s.
Yeah.
It still wasn't.
You just
and I think it probably started changing around about
the
mid-late 90s into the 2000s where we got away from that whole culture.
Yeah.
You said something earlier about sayings. I know we started off talking about sayings.
Oh yeah, we had a few of those.
One of my granny, which is my stepmom's mother, and my mama, both of them struggled with mental illness right before they passed away. And my granny, she had Alzheimer's, and my mama, she, like I said, she dealt with mental illness. But the thing that got me was how God still works with even the person that deals with mental illness.
Yeah.
Because my granny may not have remembered her daughters, her sons, and her grandkids, but she always said, you know what? God is still in the blessing business because he's still blessing me.
God bless her.
And my mama, she had stroke, paralyzed, and was still dealing with mental illness. And she was like, Jesus is my hope.
Wow.
And those two women, just off of those sayings, those two women, like, epitomize no matter where you are in life and no matter how hard life hit you, how poor you were or how wealthy you were. Yeah. It wasn't worth it without knowing who Jesus was.
Yeah. It really humanizes us, man, when we're at our lowest. Yeah. What really matters, you know, sticks. And in your mom and your granny's case, it was faith. Yeah. You know, hanging on to Jesus, man, at the darkest point of their life. Yeah. Yeah, we had a family who lived down the street from us. They had a son who was mentally handicapped, you know, and he probably had the cognitive awareness of probably a 5 or 6 year old, but he was a grown man. He's probably 50, 55 years old. But he walked through our neighborhood. This is long before the government solved all of our problems, you know, in which they're doing a horrible job at it, by the way. So there was no place to put him, or the government didn't take care of him. You took care of your family, you know, and so they took care of him until he died, and he was in his 50s. But he walked down our street, and he knew me by name. He called me Doug, and I walk out to the edge of my road, and he always did the same thing every time. In his back pocket, he had a calendar, and on the calendar was a picture of Jesus. And he'd unroll it and say, "Do you know Jesus?" And it's like, oh, I was just a little kid, man. Oh, man. You know, and I don't know if he had the awareness of what he was doing or if it was just something that, you know, his mom taught him. I don't know what this backstory was. All I know was the most important thing in his life was that picture of Jesus in his pocket. You know, and sometimes we try to make life so much more complicated, man. Maybe he had it figured out, bro. Right. Maybe he was the smart one in the group, you know? Right. You know, it's just amazing how faith always levels the playing field, man. Yeah. Always. Yeah, good food, good music, and
Good sayings.
Good singing, boy. Oh, good sayings too. Yeah.
Singing.
Well, we talked about earlier about all of my cousins who had nicknames based on their bodily deformities, which is not fair. Well, my head was bigger than all my cousins' head.
Oh my gosh.
I still got a big head, so they always called me Big Head. Even when I was a kid, they always made fun of how big my head was. Yeah. One of my cousins said, you lose most of your body heat through your head. And he'd always tell me, he always say, Doug, I bet you're freezing to death right now.
Oh, no.
Man, cousins can be mean. I mean, they can be cruel to each other, bro.
Yeah.
But it was funny. We laughed about it, it's just part of life. My mom, we had a cousin that was overweight, and she'd always say, well, he's just big boned. Like that was a real thing. Yes. No, Mom, he's fat. He's not big bone. He's big bone. There's a nice way of saying he's overweight.
Man.
Yeah. And if you ever pulled out "bless your heart," "bless your heart" can mean a lot of things.
Ooh, man. I think "bless your heart" is just, it's like Precious and Princess.
Yeah. You can mean a lot about.
Oh, bless his heart.
Yeah.
He's such a nice child.
Yeah.
Oh, bless his heart. He's so dumb.
That's exactly right. He can mean he's a moron,
right,
or he's a genius.
Oh, that baby's
or
so
he's a
precious.
good person.
Right.
Well, bless his heart.
Bless his heart.
Yeah.
Lord, keep him.
I know. Bless his heart. Oh man. All right, we're gonna wrap this up, bro. Any other favorite food you want to talk about? You ever pick blackberries?
I did.
Yeah,
I did.
Your mom would make blackberry pie or cobbler?
No, we would eat them.
Straight out of the bucket?
Straight off the vine.
Oh, straight off the briar?
Yeah. Straight off.
We would go. So we lived out in the country, and in the woods, there was this big briar patch. Ezra, even about an acre. It was massive.
Wow.
And every time the blackberries would bloom, we'd go out there. I mean, we'd bring like a 2-gallon bucket, and everybody would get, more berries than you could possibly eat, And they grew in the wild.
Yeah.
Man, they were sweet, and they were fat and juicy.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That for us, that was muscadines.
Those grow on vines.
Yes.
Yeah.
We got those.
Yeah.
And the skin is like really tough and tart.
And once you bite through it.
Yeah. I mean, it's like a good, like anybody that likes sweet sour.
Yeah.
Get a muscadine.
Yeah. Did yours grow near the riverbanks?
Yes. I think it was like close to water and like it didn't have to have a lot of light to grow.
No, it didn't, because it was usually like a heavy
wooded or shady.
Yeah. Ours did too, because the swimming hole we went to had muscadine vines all on the banks, man.
Right.
So at the right time of the year, man, you could go swimming and eat muscadines, and we would shake the vine and they'd fall down, and we'd pick them up.
We just pick them and eat them.
We didn't wash them or anything.
We didn't wash nothing.
No.
Now, don't do that.
I know. We had straight off the ground.
I want to say any other food would probably be, and my mama taught me how to cook all of this stuff. So if it's a sweet potato pie, pecan pie, I'm sorry, some people say pecan. Yeah. But a pecan pie, sweet potato pie, banana puddings, all of that stuff. Yeah. She taught me how to make it from scratch. Yeah. And fried chicken.
Yeah. Did y'all eat red beans and rice?
No, we did not. We ate pinto beans.
Did you? We ate pinto beans. We ate black-eyed peas. We ate a lot of beans, but we loved red beans. In fact, it's still my favorite dish, man. Red beans and rice and fried chicken and cornbread.
Yeah. Right before I moved here, I had, this was after my wife and I got engaged. I tried my whole, let me make some red beans and rice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was an epic fail.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an art to it, man. You got to cook them all day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the reason red beans and rice are popular on Mondays in the South is because it was wash day. That's when the mothers would do the laundries.
Okay.
So my mom had an old Ringer. Do you remember the Ringer type washers? Yeah. This is back in the 60s. So the Ringer type washer, it didn't spin the water out. You had to pull the clothes out of the tub and put them through a Ringer.
Right. Watch your fingers.
Watch your fingers in your hand because it will kill you. So it would wash. She'd wash all the clothes and then have to wring them and then hang them out on the clothesline.
Yes.
It's 1,000 years ago. So while she's doing all that, took all day, she would cook a pot of beans on the stove. Okay. And she'd cook them all day. I'm talking about like hours. She'd cook those beans from the raw state to the cooked state. So it would take all day.
Okay.
So Monday was beans day because that's when she did laundry. and she can kind of ignore the pot while she's doing the laundry because it was
Right.
cooking for hours. So that's why it became red beans and rice Mondays in
Okay.
at least this area.
That's cool stuff.
Yeah, back before we had washers and dryers, man.
Yeah, and only reason why I know what that washer is because like I grew up poor, so
Yeah,
whatever my mom could have in the house for us to make life easier,
yeah,
that's what she did.
Right.
She we ended up our washing machine, a modern day washing machine, went out.
yeah.
And so we couldn't afford to fix one, and literally somebody had a ringer washer
And they gave it to you?
and gave it to us. I'm like, man, what is this thing?
Dude, I feel the pain, man. We had one on our back. It wasn't even inside. It was on the back porch.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I got my finger caught in there and realized that
Dude.
there was a release button.
It will crush your fingers.
Yes,
Yeah.
that release button, the tip of my fingers went straight,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
like pop, and it let the ringers loose.
Saved your hand.
Yes, and I'm left-handed too.
Yeah. There was a lot of people back in the 50s and 60s that lost fingers and hands because of the ringer washers.
Wow.
Before they had that little device you're talking about.
Wow.
The little emergency device. Yeah.
Crazy.
But anyway, so mom would wash clothes and then she want me to help her hang them out. So, you ain't lived till you hung out wet sheets, man.
Been there.
I know.
Everybody else had to dry.
Stretch them out. I know, right? Yeah. And then when they finally got dry, you had to go bring them in,
Yes.
Come help me get the clothes in.
Yeah, but I don't know. Clothes smell fresher.
They did, man.
Yeah.
Dried by the wind and the sun. Sometimes they were stiff and hard, though. You didn't know what the weather, how what the weather was like.
Thank you for making me feel pretty old today.
I know,
yesterday.
right, dude? How many years ago was that? Seems like yesterday. And now, man, if washers and dryers and dishwashers and microwaves, ovens, and all these appliances that we have just make life so easy.
Right.
Amazing. Like I'll wash one load of clothes a day since all of our kids are grown now. So I wash one load of clothes a day and put them in the dryer. It takes 2 minutes to load it and then move it to the dryer. No labor involved. No hanging out clothes. No,
Right.
washer with the little ringer thing on it.
Yeah. And I know we're about done, but 2 appliances.
Yeah.
And I promise this is a Jesus podcast.
Yeah.
But 2 appliances that either get a bad rap or is used for more than what it's supposed to be used for.
Yeah.
Dishwasher,
Yeah.
which, most people like, hey, pre-wash that before you put it in there.
I know.
Or either check it when you bring it out.
Yeah.
And not the washing machine, but the dryer.
Yeah.
The dryer is the world's best iron.
Oh, if you don't have time to iron, just put it back in for another
Knock
cycle.
the wrinkles out.
That's it. Yeah. He got the truth, man.
Right.
Yeah. That's so true. All right. Last thought. Favorite drink in the South? What y'all drink all the time?
Oh man. For me it was root beer.
Yeah. Store bought or homemade?
Well, it was store bought, but it was Barks.
Oh yeah.
And I did some research and I found out Barks was actually made in Mississippi.
Yeah. Really?
Yes, Barks is a Mississippi born.
Get out of
root
here.
beer.
I thought it was a New Orleans drink.
Nope.
What city was it
I want to
created
say
in?
it's like Meridian, somewhere around Jackson,
I bet somebody
Meridian.
right now is checking you on.
Yeah, no, it's seriously, it's Mississippi, and
I thought it was
Coca-Cola
a-
bought them out.
I thought it was a New Orleans thing.
Nope, it is a Mississippi
I love
born
Barks.
drink.
We would buy the little root beer mix in a bottle and add water to it.
Yeah,
I can't remember the name of it now, but it was
forgot.
poor man's root beer. But
Yeah.
man, we used to do that, and we drank a lot of Kool-Aid.
Oh, come on,
I
man.
mean, we drank grape Kool-Aid until
Red.
y'all drink red. Yeah, I loved grape. In fact, I still like grape Kool-Aid. And by the way, grape Kool-Aid tastes nothing like real grapes.
No.
It's just purple in color.
It's just perfect.
It has nothing to do with the flavor of grape.
No.
But that goes for everything. Snowballs, grape snowballs taste nothing like grapes.
That's Weiler's
Yeah.
drink mix.
They taste like
It
they
tastes
taste like
closer
grape?
to grape.
Really?
Yes.
Well, we would get Kool-Aid brand, so 1 packet and a half a gallon, or was it a gallon, and then a cup of sugar. Man, we did that every day, all summer long.
Awesome.
And then we make popsicles out of
Yep.
it, put them in the freezer,
Yep.
make homemade popsicles. But my favorite drink of all time, homemade sweet tea.
Oh, come on, man.
How much do you love sweet tea?
I love sweet tea to the extent of where if I go buy it from Popeyes,
Yeah,
I'll add a bottle of water to it every day until it's gone.
yeah. to the sweet tea?
Yeah. That's
So,
sweet.
so what do you do? Oh, you add water to their sweet tea?
To their sweet tea.
Well, you know,
to
the
stretch
recipe,
it out.
the recipe in Louisiana is 2 cups of sugar for every gallon of sweet tea.
With a side of insulin.
Yeah, that's diabetes in a bottle, man. But that's literally the recipe. The restaurant that sells sweet tea,
Right.
when they brew it, it's 2 cups of sugar to a gallon of sweet tea.
I can see that.
Yeah. That's why it's called sweet tea. Yeah.
Sugar it or sweeten it while it's hot.
Exactly. You gotta mix the sugar while the tea is still steeping, man. You gotta when you pull the bag out, put the sugar in immediately. That way it absorbs in the tea. Then add the cold water.
Yes.
Yeah. And you know it's fresh. We ate somewhere yesterday. I ate a catfish meal for lunch, and the girl said, I want a refill of tea, and she was gone like for 3 or 4 minutes, a long time. She came back and said, hey, I'll be a few minutes there making some fresh tea, which is always good news for me. She finally came back. The tea was still warm in the glass, even though it was full of ice. That's how fresh it was, man.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I had to get another glass of ice just to cool the tea down. But, man, it was perfect. It's steeped just right. It's the right color. It was the right amount of sugar. I don't know. Is there a better experience for your food than to finish it off with sweet tea?
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Sweet tea. Bitch.
Yeah. All right. Any closing thoughts before we get out of here?
Yeah, just probably, like I said, I was thinking with the whole sayings things is like whenever my parents or my grandparents gave me a saying, it had like a dual purpose.
Yeah.
The purpose was for right then, but then for later on, it was like, oh, okay, I see what they're saying. It's not necessarily that there's things that I can't do.
Yeah.
But it's to show me that I can press through the things that it looks impossible.
What was that saying your mom taught you? You said?
My mom said there's no such thing as I can't.
There you go.
Yeah. And
Don't say I can't.
Right.
Right.
It's stuck with me.
And I don't think it's because our moms and dads were under any delusion that we were superhuman, but they didn't want us to limit ourselves, because my dad grew up in the Great Depression.
Yeah.
He there was a lot of limitation, but he was always positive and encouraging.
Yeah.
He had really no reason to be, other than he knew that without an attitude of faith and trust and believing anything's possible, then you're going to be stuck where you are forever.
Yeah. And I think the same thing with my parents. They had that thought process too, because they grew up during Jim Crow South. And my mom, I didn't even know she was a sharecropper.
Right.
At like 5-6 years old, she was outside picking cotton.
Right.
Yeah. And I'm like, really? And my mom would probably just be on the cusp of turning 70. She'd still be in her 60s if she was alive.
Wow.
And so for her to say that, she was empowering her kids
Just
to know.
imagine what she overcame. Yeah. And how much faith she held on to in the face of
all of that stuff.
All of that. Yeah. Yeah. When you look back at where our parents came from, the Great Depression was 100 years ago. Well, 1929, so right at 100 years ago. And my dad grew up, in the Great Depression. They lived on a farm and had nothing, just eked out a living out of the dirt, and to think where we are, where we are today living in the 21st century with all the modern conveniences and food and music, we're blessed, man.
Just like all access.
I know he's still in the blessing business.
Come on.
Because he's still blessing me.
Come on, Grandma.
Hey, this is Doug McAllister, along with Ezra Cayson. You've been watching Stories We Didn't Tell Sunday, so we got to tell you some backstories, things that we love. This is the podcast from Journey Fellowship Church. If you want to watch more episodes, they're all on the Journey app. You can download it from your app store. You can go to your app store, search Journey Fellowship Church app, download it to your smart device. If you live nearby Slidell, Louisiana, come visit us in person. You can hear Ezra lead worship. I speak most Sundays. We have a great opportunity this Sunday to worship God together. If you're looking for a church or new to the area, come visit us. We're in Slidell, Louisiana on Pontchartrain Drive, right across from the new Walmart. We'd love to worship God with you. Check us out at journeyfellowshipchurch.com or come visit us live and in person. Or if you're living far away, you can always watch the online campus. Journey Fellowship Church is online every Sunday at 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. Is a rebroadcast. And we'd love to worship with you in person, online, or just keep up with us here on the podcast. And check out my blog, dougmcallister.com. It's an ongoing conversation I have with my dog about things in life. We just have a good conversation every Thursday morning. So we'd love to get to know you and worship God with you. So on behalf of Journey and Ezra, Doug McAllister saying, God bless you. We love you. Hope you have a great day.